Bindle, principal of Adams Elementary in Wapato, also Wapato grad class of '88. So thank you guys for coming here, I appreciate it. These are some other people on our team. A couple of them aren't here, so I do want to take a minute and acknowledge them. Angela Brooks with AB Consulting, so she's done a lot of work to help us with our SEL and PBS programs. Teresa Shin, who's our current assistant principal at Adams. And we're actually doing MTSS work off-site. Hello. We're doing MTSS work off-site with a crew of teacher leaders. And since I had to be here this morning and these guys had to be here this morning, Teresa's leaving now in another location. Also, player in this is Alejandro Rodriguez, who happens to be sitting right here. So, big part of our SEL journey, and now I'll hand this off.
I'm Bethany Hunter. I'm current 5th grade teacher at Adams. I'm also our dean of students, and this year I'm working on my admin internship with Ben. This is my 11th year there.
And I'm Maxwell. I was a 4th grade teacher last year, but I'll be doing 3rd grade this year, so that's very exciting for me.
And I'm Crystal Bernal, a counselor there, and also a Wapato grad.
All right. How are we gonna? We want to move this a little bit. So
We want like a
we
circle.
want a circle. Is what we
So
want.
if we could make that happen, that'd be amazing.
Let's just start moving stuff.
Yeah.
Block the camera.
That's catching everything.
Let's just leave that one in the middle.
Is it working?
It's recording.
It's gonna stay up.
As long as we don't have any earthquakes.
Yeah, that's perfect right there. I'm leaving this one in the middle. I don't know if it goes in.
That's
Oh,
the hot seat at the end.
all right, so come. No desk is separation. It's you.
Can't hide behind a desk.
Yep. And just super clear and transparent. We're doing our best to model and practice activities that we do in the building and practices we do in the building with our kids and our adults. So,
Your texture chart right there.
if
It's a hot seat.
you walk into Adams,
I'm taking that seat.
isn't this just a better vibe anyway? So, but if you walk into Adams, like you will see kids in circles. This is part of our normal routine. All right, so let me get your rope. So, yeah, they kind of have a weird balance point, don't they? So, all right. We're gonna start, and we'll do this in 2 rounds, I think. Okay. It's 2 words to describe yourself.
2 words summarize yourself.
All right. So, talking piece. So the person has the floor, and we use this with kids just to keep order, eliminate blurting. If you're trying to manage the classroom, this rotation matters a lot. So 2 words to describe your summer. Who'd like to go first? You guys can go.
I'll go.
Sorry. 2 words to describe my summer.
Mm-hmm.
Tired
Mm-hmm.
and excited.
Cool. Left or right?
Busy and I guess relaxing at the same time.
It was fun filled. Okay. Oh, 2 words, right? That's 2. Fun and filled. And busy as well.
Baseball and busy.
Family time.
Humid and short.
Short and high.
Busy and uplifting.
Relaxing and short.
Fun and accomplished. I would say relaxing and chaotic at the same
family, and short. Family and Mexico.
All right, so here's the second part of our prompt that we're doing for the morning. And if you, one of the things that as we work with kids, we talk about our SEL journey, how we brought everybody together. Community is a huge part of what we do. And we do that to get kids ready to learn. I usually close with this, but it's a good opener too. You guys, if you know me at all, if you get to know me, you will find out I'm a chronic dude. And what that means is, I don't want to talk about feelings. I don't want to, I don't want to go there, right? If I thought there was any way to move our kids forward and not create the safe space, create the community, I would do it in a second. I would love to just talk about instructional strategies and, you know, blah, 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 blah. But if we don't handle the community, we can't get our kids in a spot where they're ready to learn and move forward. So that's some background about why we do this and why we put it into our culture. Next prompt is a word, right?
It's what you're looking forward to in the new upcoming school year. So it's something that's like kind of forefront
Yeah,
of your mind.
so yeah, like a word for one thing that you're looking forward to.
One word.
One word next year. So, and we'll start over again.
Maybe
Phrase?
It
Okay.
could be hard.
okay.
I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if I can do it in one word.
Yeah.
A sentence.
Okay, so a sentence for what you're looking forward to. And it doesn't have to, who would like to start?
I'll
So-
do.
Okay, so,
Smoother school year.
oh, we have to hand
There
time.
you go. Okay, a smoother school year.
Okay.
That's nice.
We're left or right, Maria?
Over
You're
here.
choosing left, okay?
Challenges.
Growth. Construction.
RFP, Relentless Forward Progress.
I like the word growth, but new learning and new experiences.
Having a baby. Seeing the kids.
New grade level.
I would have to say continued growth, unity, and fearlessness.
New role, so lots of learning.
Policies and procedures.
Change.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. So, we've been debriefing as we go through, so hopefully everybody has an idea. Can you go ahead and play? What is next? So, this is a quick flash of who we are at Adams. This is what our ethnicity breakdown is like. We are, 15 to 20% Native American, approximately 80% Hispanic, and then a little spattering of everything else. That's kind of how we work out at Adams. 57% of the kids are EL, 95% of the kids are on free and reduced, 21% migrant population, 16% SPED, and then 6.5% in high school. Our total number of students is just under 400 kids. And in that we have a self-contained room, so that leaves us with 18 classrooms, including that self-contained. So if you do the math, our classrooms are fairly full. The third grades all run in the low 20s. Fourth grades this year are running like 26s and 27s, and the fifth grades are all running right about 26 right now. So that's our breakdown of what's in our schools. And we're free flowing. If you got a question, if there's something you want to know, please. All right, so challenges, reconstruction, configuration. We've been through a lot of changes. Even without COVID, we had classrooms added onto our building, and we had a reconfiguration that added some kids. We went through a district reconfiguration, and we've got through this, but that was one that really surprised me because we had 60% of our student body was new. So that was a huge culture reset that we didn't really quite see coming, but we got through it. COVID, managing ESSER, and then for us, I've labeled it post-COVID mindsets, but does anybody notice that like parents are in like a different spot, and kids are in a different spot after COVID, where there's maybe I want less urgency is what wants to flow out of my mouth, but I'm not quite sure that's exactly what it is. But there's definitely a change in mindset that we're dealing with, and realigning families and getting them back up to moving forward. All right, so starting point. So we're going way back in time to 2016, how everything started. The district started a PBS initiative. And at that time, I was a first-year principal. And I ended up at the Northwest Special Education Conference, and I heard a woman named Diana Bright-Brown speak. And she talked about trauma-informed practices, and it really struck a tone with me for what the kids are dealing with, and these really radical swings in behaviors you'll see with kids, but also with staff. So what happened over time is we really put a lot of emphasis on working with staff, making sure that staff were themselves SEL competent. They were able to regulate and manage their emotions, because if you can't get your staff right, you can't get your staff ready to work with kids, they are not going, you're not going to see the growth in the kids that you want. So if that adult isn't regulated, isn't in tune with what's going on, not much else is going to work. So we put a lot of energy in that. And one of the outcomes of that is our staff turnover for the last, 6 years, it's been super low. Yeah, we're turning over 1 or 2 people a year. So the team that is together, Adams has been together now for a long time. And kind of the next step in that is just MTSS. And then can you hit that link real quick? And this is kind of what we're driving towards, but this is my whiteboard. And it really is, I'm calling it, systems mapping. But what we're doing at Adams to map Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, we're splitting in 2 buckets, academic and social emotional. And then what's in place for all those. So if you look at that really quick, like we've listed things, and see what the red boxes are? Those are things that have guidance on them of some sort or another. So ultimately the idea is this crosses over, becomes an electronic document. So it's a 1-pager everybody can look at, but all the details about what guidance and expectations are, how we show up, how we work with kids, is all underneath that. So it's a really deliberate effort to map what we're doing with other kids. All right, yeah, I think so. Questions, anyone?
How did you how did you tackle the focusing on your staff in a way that would engage the staff members?
I'm going to hand it off for just a second.
Oh, yeah.
Well, because as we went through it, we didn't get a lot. Don't remember a lot of pushback about not wanting to address and deal with this. And one thing, long before I showed up, and it's very true today, but that staff really deeply cares about kids, and they'll do what they need to do to help kids. But what are your other thoughts and comments on it?
I don't remember the exact things. I do remember we all realized the importance of it, but a lot of us didn't want to have to face it and work through our own secondary trauma that we have been experiencing with our kids, and what they had to go through. We're also taking that in. I know it was, at least for me and someone I talked to, was like, you said no pushback, but in our mind kind of were, and I was removed from it for a little bit. I was like just surface participating, but then you really understand more the importance and realize that I did need to work on myself, and a lot of the staff felt the same way. And so then we were a lot more open and willing to work on everything.
We have someone join us.
I also think that when COVID happened, it was so isolating that we were kind of in these little deep pits of, feelings. And so it kind of happened felt really natural, this progression of working on our SEL, and then it trickled down to our students. So.
I guess I wasn't trying to put anybody in the hot seat, but
No,
I was
no.
just curious, just because, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like, I'm not speaking necessarily about the teachers, but some staff that are part of our MTSS it seems like we have,
Leadership, yeah.
their
Mhm.
leadership, we have to coax them a little bit to
Mhm.
be involved, and it seemed like that approach was very, beneficial to
Mhm.
target like what we face instead of always putting the blame on the students and saying like, these are like, creating those labels of like, these are difficult students, but instead reflecting on ourselves.
There was an element that I definitely saw as an administrator. And I've taught in Wapato, I've taught in a couple other districts, so I've kind of been around, but, for me, I was able to recognize that, like, you have these teachers that have these, like, bizarre coping strategies, and typically it goes one way or the other. They're insanely legalistic and militaristic in how they work with their kids, or it's this weirdo, laissez-faire, everything is just woo. Each of those is kind of a symptom of undealt with secondary trauma, right? So, that was just so clear for me. It kind of helped me understand, it's like, okay, how do you address some of these habits of mind for how folks are showing up? And that's kind of where we went.
And,
So.
and I would have to say, to add to that, I get what you're saying, and it is difficult because I think sometimes too within staff, there's been certain experiences, and sometimes maybe people feel like they have that hasn't been acknowledged, for whatever it may be, right? And so no judgment whatsoever, and I think definitely taking the time to have those conversations and listen and acknowledge, but moving forward. So we can't dwell, in certain things that may have happened, with their perceptions. But I think definitely, I think back of our opening yesterday, of really moving forward, being clear with expectations, and I'm going to be very vulnerable here. Last year being first year principal, it was a tough year. But I look back at it now, and there was a lot of professional growth, self-growth too, in the sense of like, don't assume a lot of stuff. But I do feel very grateful because I was at Adams my first year in Wapato. So being able to have, in a sense, a little bit of that foundation, being able to carry it over to the building where I'm at right now, it helps. It does take time. It is a lot of conversation, and again, it comes back to just being clear being clear in your vision and those next steps, and just going with basically
And
the
just
staff.
to build on that and just continue. So, I was saving this for the end, but you
Sorry.
brought it up. It's perfect. It's perfect. Okay. Raise your hand if you've had the same job for the last 9 years. Same job. No, 9 years. I'm starting year 9 as a principal at Adams. So, what that means is my superintendent, Mr. Garza, superintendent before him, Becky Emler, were both willing to let me stay here in this spot and muddle around, get lost, but ultimately start to build it. And, and just that it takes time. You're seeing us almost 10 years in dealing with everything. And again, I just can't say how fortunate we are, that, there was some, I wasn't sure if, is this gonna work? And White was literally coming to school, and she's like, just praying that I made all the right choices. But also just very grateful, and it was hard at first, because he basically said, they're your choices, and then, did that, let me make it. So, yeah.
So the key word is, it's your choices. You have leadership that is trusting you.
Well, I look, and I talk to these guys all the time. I'm talking to a cabinet level or director level person 3-4 times a day. Just, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm thinking, so, hopefully they don't feel like there's a lot of mysteries.
At the district level, we have our initiatives, we have, the items that are, non-negotiable, these are things that need to be implemented. I know that, there is some autonomy, and each building is going to focus on what they believe through any needs, assessment that they might have, conducted, or a survey, a CE survey that kind of says, kids feel, unsafe, so maybe that building might focus on that, or some kids feel like they don't feel like they're welcomed, so they're gonna have distinct, focus areas. But, as Ben says, is the communication from the principals to, the central office and the cabinet, whoever oversees that area they're trying to work on, we'll let them work on those, but if we kind of see things ain't working and going south, then, we'll try and support as much, but there's a time where a superintendent might need to say, you know what, yeah, I'll give you an opportunity, it ain't working, we gotta change course, and those are difficult conversations to have, and I don't know if that's what, you're referring to, but we try to support our principals as much as possible, but, we also know that there's some things that maybe the principals aren't aware as directors, that all of the compliance stuff, and if you don't do X, Y, and Z, then, you're out of compliance, and.
We no longer have
so-
that funding.
Yeah, I mean, I was.
There's a lot of cost.
Yeah, like Ben, I think I was the principal for 9 years at the middle school before, and, you gotta make sure that whatever we're doing in the buildings align with, rules and regulations and expectations.
Can you hit the next slide?
Okay.
All right, it's just a quick blurb. So this is one of the things that really helped us kind of sharpen our focus and move ahead. But that's our Adams purpose statement. Our purpose at Adams is to motivate and empower each student with the social and academic skills to achieve at grade level and beyond, while working in partnership with our Wapato families and community. And we built that and then worked to nest that underneath our district directives, and we have an equitable continuous growth plan from the district, which I don't have added in as a slide. But we worked to build that under. So that's a new document that was constructed by the district last year, published this year. So we'll meet and revisit this to make sure that we're working underneath the umbrella of what the district's trying to do.
Whose signatures?
That's all the staff, and that's posted public, so you walk down our hall into the gym and that's up. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that was one of the most terrifying moments as I'm introducing that and walking through that, because they didn't tell staff what we were gonna do. So it's up posted, we're reviewing, and then that big black B, that's me right there. So I kind of signed that sucker first, and then it literally invited people to join, and people.
Well, and
that-
just getting to this point, I remember we had meeting after meeting after meeting, and we argued and we discussed, and like, not that word, this word, so it was really deliberate, and a lot of love and attention went into it, so I think, and there were a lot of teachers involved with it, so I don't think it was hard for people to commit to that, because it was teacher made.
Our parents were a part of this.
Right.
So as you guys were creating that, what kind of input did the district directors have on that? Little or no? And the reason I'm asking is
Not a lot.
because what I see is, we're divided.
Mhm.
And it sounds like in some places the same, you're on that side, we're on this side, we're teachers, you're district. And, I feel comfortable going into classrooms, and, to be visible, cause they're like, well, we don't know what you guys do, like, you guys are just over there kind of a thing.
Mhm.
But to build that trust, that communication that I wanted to know, like, did they have
So-
any input, did they?
They knew we were working on a purpose statement.
Okay.
I might have discussed it with Shannon, but the truth is, I don't remember.
I think I remember saying, you'd send me, I think it's Travis, and, keep me updated.
Yeah.
Google Docs, and I hated Google. I mean, yeah.
I think it's very smart
Mhm.
to build your mission, your purpose statement in the building, instead of having one say force like district wide, and I don't wanna say force, but like place district wide, because as a building, the harmony and what the ebbs and flows, so I think that the collaboration is very smart. I appreciate it, I appreciate seeing how the process, thank you for sharing with us.
And one thing that we're doing what we did at our building, we started out with the LIT or ILT with the leadership team, went through the process, and going back to the conversations, I wanna say it took us 3 times in the spring and it was intense and it was deep and it brought out some feelings of like, hey, I'm like, okay, but how are we gonna show up? How are we gonna move forward? And it was very powerful to be able to now have a purpose statement for LIT, and the next step is going, how do we show up in different teams, committees, and then now as a staff. So.
All right. Now we're gonna get to what we've constructed. So we have MTSS Tier 1, we look at that as a group, so we don't separate academic. It's 6 strategies that we use across our building, and that was a rollout 2 years. Well, I'll let you guys know. You can talk about some more details. So,
A lot of these we rolled out starting 2 years, so our 3rd year with these, we're getting a lot more comfortable. Our first one is, we call them our SEL checks. It gives kids a chance. First thing in the morning, they come in, we greet them at the door, we're excited to see them. You know, all these out front, greeting every kid as they come into the building. They come into class, once they're at their seats, they get right onto the Chromebooks. We go to the PBIS Rewards app, and they check in how they're feeling for the day. So we created together a guide for how kids can show up, how they're feeling. So they have, I think we had 5 lessons. We started with 4, and we added the sick, tired after the first 2 weeks. We had a ton of kids mark upset because they're just sick or tired. So we added that 5th one. So there's language for what the teachers are looking for, and they explain to the students. And then there is language for the students, and they have this posted in the classrooms so they understand. And they mark how they're feeling for the day. We have a lot of happy, which we love to see, or just calm, and they can put comments in there. But then we have the ones who mark worried or upset. If they mark upset, those of us that have admin access to this website get a notification. We get it on our phones, we get it on an email. We have a kid who's marked upset, we need to check in with them. And our wonderful team of Crystal and our social worker Angelica Chavez they go to those students first thing in the morning, within like the first 15 minutes, and they check in with those students. Ask, what can we do to help improve your day? Why are we upset? What can we do to help? So that they are feeling ready for learning that day. Those who mark worried, we track those in a sheet we'll show in a moment. And if they have at least 3 in a month, then we add them to our check-in. We need to see, why are they marking so many worried? What can we do to help them and support them so that they are ready to learn for the day? Go back so we show the tracking. This one? Yeah. So we blocked up names for confidentiality, but since spreadsheet, I keep track of get the information from the website. I put it in this document for Crystal and Angelica to look through. And notes are when Crystal and Angelica have met with the student. They just put really brief notes so we know why they're upset. We can track, and then we can go back and visit these if we need to. If they mark upset again. And put the second tab. Which those for this one? Yeah. This one has a little bit more. So that second one down where it says commented, the student wrote something. They wrote a comment about why they were feeling upset. And then the notes after that is after the meeting with them first thing in the morning.
no scrub every day.
This is every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every day within the first 15 minutes. It's helped a lot of our students. They feel they trust us. They know that we care about them. They feel accepted. And we saw a change after the first year doing this. Kids are so much more open with us. They're so much more honest. They share things maybe they shouldn't share, but they know that we're there for them. And it's a huge success for our building. Move back to the slide, please, right. So.
Can I ask a question about the student trust
Yeah.
issue? Have you taken what the kids are writing down in this program you have here, and the CEE survey that they complete, because there's specific questions about that, do they correlate? Are the results reflecting what the adults believe about kids feeling?
Yeah.
When kids they answer how do they feel accepted? Do they feel like staff care about them? Those are a much higher positive trend. And even now, some other questions about does your building, your teachers or admin handle issues like behavioral or bullying issues? We have some more positive trends. So it's been great to see, and it helps build community as well in our classrooms and the building. Kids know all staff care, so we'll all check in with them if we need to. Yeah. This year we were talking about adding in that kids can go in if they feel great in the morning, awesome. But maybe something happens and they feel upset again. They can go in really quickly, briefly, and change that if something's really bothering them, but they're not ready, they can't voice it, they wanna meet with someone, they can mark upset, and we get that notification, and then they can have someone talk with them.
Can I ask you how they have access to this?
It's on their Chromebooks, we have,
Okay.
that's the PBIS rewards, website,
So does every kid have a Chromebook? Do they,
Mhm.
yeah, so we have a website.
like, do they travel with the Chromebook or the Chromebooks stay in their classrooms?
It stays in the classroom most majority of the time, so the kids, so like in my room, the kids come in, you know, we greet them, they get their chairs down, they immediately, I just say, do your, you know, if they need a reminder check-in, they just pull their Chromebook out of their desk, put it in, put it away, and they're ready to go, like
Okay.
maybe 2 minutes,
Okay.
yeah. So our 4th and 5th graders are very familiar and very well at doing this, our 3rd graders need some extra, assistance and just teaching them that first couple of weeks, and they get very good at it. And we do have the ones that try to use the system to maybe get out of class. We have good communication, we know which students those are. And they need to be checked and we'll do it under recess time, so we know they just went out of the room for a few minutes.
And I think they're so comfortable with the consistency of the follow-up that if they log into their Google Classrooms or their Google
They're
app, they're able to access the PBIS program through there as well. So we've had kids check in from home
yes.
and saying I'm set, and so we still follow up and make sure
We
that
called
they're
them
organized.
that last year, so we called home, checked on the students. They said they marked upset, we wanted to follow through and see what was going on at home, but they were upset about it.
Adam's Way.
So the Adams Way is be safe, be responsible, be respectful, and we emphasize it a lot throughout the beginning of the school year, especially, and after every long break that we have. Teachers are awesome at talking to the students about the Adams Way. You have to be respectful, or that wasn't respectful. Whenever something happens, they go back to the Adams Way. I go into the classroom as a support to the teachers during their SEL time that they have in the morning, because they all have a set time in the morning to do SEL, and offer additional support to the teachers. But coming into this building, I haven't been here that long, but I think the most important piece of this system that they have going is that every single staff member knows the Adams Way. Every single staff member will tell the student, whether it's a custodian, whether it's a kitchen staff, you're not being respectful. Are you following the Adams Way? And I think that consistency throughout the building is what keeps the kids following this Adams Way. I've seen it outside of the school. I live in Wapato, so I go to the store, I see students there, and I hear them telling other students or other kids' siblings, that's not being respectful, or if they're climbing something, you're not being safe. So it's something that's following, outside of their school life. With that, every single staff member in our building carries a PUP ticket booklet, and they, where the bucket is at.
Yeah.
And they recognize those students that are following the Adams Way. So, I mean, we did 2 of those buckets this school year. We filled two of those buckets. So, it's very consistent. It's helping them understand the behavior expectations, and it's just helping them grow so much. It's been an awesome system. I don't know, it's something that.
Well, this is our tier 1 PBIS, and if you notice, you're not gonna hear us talk about store. Pet peeve of mine, I hate trinket-based reward systems. Showed up on time, where's my donut? Cannot stand that. So we work very hard to be experiential, build an internal motivation for kids, and it's worked pretty well. And the management's easier. I don't have to assign staff, or I end up doing it where I gotta manage a store. Now there's some teachers that choose to do that as part of their classroom management system. Great, don't care. But the larger system is really based on recognition and being experiential.
So, and it can be for anyone. Do teachers would like give tickets often? Is it after? You know, I've seen this. In a way, it's kind of a token, right? But I've seen this kind of reward system, and it costs teachers nothing. But sometimes teachers are like, you know what, that's not, like, I'm just, like, they're waiting for something, like, extra special. I don't know. But it's very hard to give out, and then I also wonder, so that's my first question. My second question is, do you look at, like, is everyone getting honored and noticed? And if not, who, right? Do you see, like, the same kids getting the same tickets? Like, do those tickets represent your whole school?
Yes.
It does. We have a tracker that Crystal monitors. Those who earn the ticket, she marks in there so we know who has a lot or who's not maybe not hitting a few, and make sure we recognize those students. Or any small choice that's falling our Adams way, we make a big deal about recognizing that. And some kids I've seen are just super excited to put their ticket in their grade level and push this button we push that has different awesome things that come out, and they love it. They're so excited. Even if their name's not drawn, they love being able to just push that button and put their ticket in the bin.
Yeah, it's part of the TFI, it's one of those PBS Fidelity trackers. Kids get, and we'll show in a bit, it's linked up somewhere, the tracker, or I'll show so we track everybody that gets, not pup tickets, but the Student of the Month
Like
awards.
recognized.
Yeah, so it's uniform across, kids get it. And look, again, 9 years, right? Time, it's smoother, last year than it was the year before. It'll be smoother this year than it was last year. So it sets up over time, and that's common thoughts, common beliefs, common practices. Over time, well, we need to recognize kids. Well, how do we know? And it grows and morphs into a practice that becomes common across the building.
And I would have to add to that, going back to Crystal's comment about how it's everyone. One thing that I noticed when I was at Adams, I love that button to begin with, but it was nice because anyone who was in the office area, whether it be our office staff, admin, and our instructional coach, we would praise it, especially the office staff. They were really great about, like, it wasn't a kiddo just coming into the office and then they went out. They were like, oh my God, you've got it, hi, So again, it goes back to the culture of the staff, and it's everyone. It's not just certified staff, it's everybody.
Can I jump into Teresa's question a little bit about, and I looked at Ken, because, Ken oversees a lot of the data, and he and Mr. Peterson, the assistant superintendent, over the last few years have developed this spreadsheet, we call it the spreadsheet from hell, because it is humongous and it has so much data on there. So the question earlier about, what is the district's hand and involvement in buildings, activities and initiatives, you want to share a little bit about that? It was, the question I think was, are all kids recognized, and we keep track of it at district level.
At the district level, we track all forms of recognition, whether it's things like Student of the Month to citizenship awards to the kids who get recognized through pup tickets and stuff like that. And so we have a program we call our equity and proportionality report that we look at every year to see whether or not things are kind of reflective of our student bodies. And yeah, I can tell you over the course of 8 years, it's pretty reflective of pretty much everybody is getting recognized across the district, definitely at Adams, since they were topic of our conversation today. But yeah, so now we actually at the district level monitor that throughout the year, and definitely on an annual basis. We share that data with the principals and they share it with their teachers, just to kind of see how are we doing with this? Because it was an area of concern about 8 or 9 years ago. Was were we recognizing just a subset of students, or were we finding ways of recognizing all, if not most, of our students? So yes, there are tracking systems at the district level in place that I oversee that everybody participates in to kind of double check that.
So, oh, that's videos. That link is not. Oh, Papa Word winners.
And if you go to my session, which is after this one, you'll see the spreadsheet.
So this is all our kids that are earning PUP awards, which is a little bit more formal recognition. It's a monthly recognition, but we keep track of this and teachers monitor this to make sure that everybody's getting an opportunity to get engaged. So, and we actually are just, when we started this off, I said that we were working with, we're working on building out some other elements of this PBIS system. So, check in, check out, but we're actually going to create an award for check in, check out called the AMP Award, Adams Most Improved. So when kids exit their check in, check out program, we'll add them into the PUP assembly, and those kids are going to earn an AMP Award. So, yeah. All right, what's next?
Reflective discourse. We have the Adams Way. When students struggle with those choices, we do our discipline matrix we use is reflective discourse. They have to reflect back on what their choices were. It's not like a punitive piece. We want them to reflect and understand self-managed and have agency about what was going on. So if an incident happens, like in my room, I'll give them, warnings, things still going on. Like, I think we need to do our discourse, a reflective piece. I have them clear their desk. I give them a card that has our questions, which is linked in there. Then I give them a couple of minutes to read through and start thinking about answers to these questions before I'll pull them aside and have a conversation. And we walk through these questions. And it's student by student. You want to go through every question, how it says, or you can pick which ones were most useful in that instance. So you ask them what happened, what were you thinking at the time? And we don't let them just shrug their shoulders or say, I don't know. They have to verbalize and really talk through this about what was going on when they made that choice. I had a girl that kept yanking on a kid's ear. Kid started crying, so I had her, clear her desk off. I didn't have a space in my room to sit in a designated area, so I had to clear their desk off. There's no distractions. I just had the card. Then I pulled her to the back and we had this conversation. Said, asked her what was happening in that moment, what was going through your head. And then, what have you thought about since that happened? So since I had her clear her desk, gave her the card, what have you been thinking about since then? And make sure that she verbalizes and explains what's going on. Who has been affected by what your choice was? And it could be the student she was antagonizing. It also could be the group that was sitting around her seeing this and experiencing what she was doing to that student. What has been the hardest for you? That's a question that I'll use if it feels applicable with that student in that situation, or I sometimes might remove it. And then, what do you think needs to be done to make things right? That one we pushed hard on, that it can't just be, oh, I'm sorry. That's not really internalizing and understanding what was going on. So it has to be a little bit more than just apologize. What else can you do to rectify that, what happened, so that we can start fresh? And when that reflective discourse is done, they made their choice for that number 5 step, slate's wiped clean. We start again. Get back into the room and back to our buddy. And it's not just classroom that do this. Our paras were trained and do this. It happens in the lunchroom, at recess. If students have, I think it was 3 or more of these reflective discourse in the room, then that moves to more of an office admin piece, but they go through the exact same questions. So students know that, I did this with this teacher, I have to go do it again with the principal. So it's brought down a lot of our, not really small behaviors, but the ones that just kept happening over and over, because they know, I gotta talk through it, I gotta explain my thought, my feelings. They just don't wanna do it anymore, so then they stop those choices to get out of their work. They know that do it with us, keep doing it, do it with their assistant principal or principal.
We've also been, I feel like, doing it for so long that, at least in my experience, I've had kids come up and say, can we do 5 questions? Like, I'm having a problem with somebody, I need to talk about it, can we, do the restorative circle? And it's pretty empowering for them, I'm sure. They know how to solve a problem now.
Yeah, all of our kids have gotten really good at explaining their thoughts, their feelings, and what's been going through their mind. Even if we're just having a conversation, you see them upset, sit down. So we have that conversation, so what's going on, they'll talk through it. They don't just say, I don't know, or I'm sad. They'll explain a lot more what's going on. Sometimes it's just, like, in summer school, I just sat down to a student, he's like, gonna talk, aren't we? Yep, we're gonna talk. It's like, okay. You know, so it's on one side, we don't wanna always do that our day, but I love seeing our kids work through these issues they're going through and learning these, not like coping, but learning these different life skills that, to work through what's on their mind, what their feelings through, and have that self-management piece. That's me here. So one of our
Oh,
more.
we've got like 10 minutes, so let's
Oh,
at least
okay.
get through the 6.
Yeah, so this is, we'll be really brief, one of our academic main goals was our writing, so that was a weakness. So we worked hard on creating common writing rubrics. A team of us worked through the year, and I'm gonna click on the link to show it really quick. We use these are now across our building we have it for each of the main writing, opinion, narrative, and informative, the research piece. And we created common language for each grade level for what score they're gonna get on their writing. And we use these, I show my kids before writing project, here's a rubric, here's the language, what you need to do to reach that 3 or 4. And it's gonna be very common language starting from 3rd grade, so they know what to expect going through the years. Spent a lot of work on this, and we're very excited to roll it out. We finished it in the spring last year.
Am I doing this?
That would be me. So modeling metacognition, this is, one that I struggle with. I think this is one that a lot of teachers struggle with. I don't know if I'm right in saying that. But it's kind of just like, you know, just thinking about your thinking out loud, modeling, how to solve problems in the classroom. And one of the best strategies for that is the sentence starters. Just giving them like a platform to jump off of, to explain their thinking, to ask questions about their thinking is really helpful. I've even like put like the talk stems on their desk, and that has helped quite a bit with that. Another one would be these number talks to support our math learning, and that's built into our curriculum actually, so that one was kind of an easy one to implement. And it's kind of, I don't have much more to say about that one. Or anything else to add?
No worries.
And then the last one, I think this is our last one, is our optimistic closures. Optimistic closures are not necessarily like cheery. You're not supposed to be like, good job, you did so good today. The purpose is to express to the classroom community how important the work is that we're doing in that classroom. The purpose is to get them to look forward to the next thing that they're learning the next day. It's to reflect on their learning, how it impacted, and their behavior and how it impacted the learning of themselves and others. So it's just a moment of pause at the end of any type of engagement. So like switching class periods, or okay, we switched walk to read groups, let's have like a 1 minute pause, what did you learn type thing. Every kid's voice needs to be heard. So when we started the session, we opened it up with something that was really easy for everybody to share. Let's just talk about your summer, and that gets voices going. Instead of starting out with like a really heavy question, it's a lot easier for them to answer something simpler to get more comfortable. What's great about this is it doesn't have to take a lot of time. It can take a minute. It can just be a minute. It can be 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be whole group. It can be triads or pairs. So it can go really quickly, which is sometimes hard to remember. This is, I want to show you this. These are like kind of metacognition piece. These are sentence stems to help students figure out what to share. Sometimes, this is one I use in my class, sometimes I'll say you need to pick this one, or you can pick any of them. This one is really cool, the AHA, appreciate and apology. This one's really powerful, where students were like, I was not a great person in class today, I'm so sorry. And that's a really big moment for them. But yeah, they'll pick one of those, and it does end the class really nicely.
All right, so that's our strategies, and our data is good. I mean, we've got a long ways to go. Consider our population, high poverty, language needs. Consider what we chose: things to develop voice, things to develop agency, and then high leverage strategies like writing. So the items that are selected as in our, tier 1 are intentional. None of that's random. Clip, boom, boom. See what comes next. Okay. Yeah, we got awesome culture. We'll get hundreds and hundreds of people in for some of our, trunk or treat, we'll have 500 people in. All right, go. This is just one example of data, and and talk about white knuckling it, because this took a while to set up. And then, so the 2022, and you guys know the WISIT data, I think most people have never seen it. So we were into tier 1, and then that's the first data piece we got. And it wasn't particularly impressive. It didn't really pop. It didn't really have any change. And God, did it make all the right decisions? Did it move things right? The rationale was correct. Everything was correct, but are we pulling it off? And then 2023, and you can see where we got the bumps. Now, we have work to do still with our Native American population. We have work to do in special education. But the EAL group has crossed over. That's not a qualifying area for us anymore. We've increased low income. We've increased the all. So we're going the right way. We had a 14% improvement in chronic absenteeism from the work that Crystal and then Teresa and that crew have done. So that roughs out to about 50, 55 kids that are not chronic anymore. Again, getting kids ready to learn. Yeah, there's that piece there. WIDA, that's a big, big piece for us there. So we're exiting just like 11, 12%. And if you do like our deep dive, what you're going to see is writing, speaking. Again, because of what we're doing in class, we have kids poised to make another jump. So we don't have kids sitting, emerging. I can't remember all of it, right? But they're stacked up, poised to make another jump. Actually, hit that real quick. Yeah.
You have the highest number of exits per building, right?
I think SATA's still got in front of us. I think they got the.
Oh, you do. Okay.
But see how I highlighted here? So overall, just how many folks can say I got 66% of the EL population that is stacked in developing in writing, right? Speaking, 58% stacked there, So we're in a really, really good spot. All right, and we're going to run out of time, and we do want to do a quick close. So think for a minute.
Let's model our optimistic closure.
Yeah. What is?
I got it.
You got it? Okay.
I
Run with
thought.
it. Here you go.
Okay, so this is more geared for teachers, and because we do these optimistic closures not just in our classrooms but in staff meetings and PLCs and in practice what we preach. So there's 3 up here. Something I learned today, I'm curious about, I'm looking forward to tomorrow, because I'm gonna leave it open to which one of these you choose to share.
Who would like to start?
I'm curious about how to use optimistic closures with pre-K students and TK students next year.
Okay, something I'll do as a result of this meeting is to support Adams with their chronic absenteeism, with the growth that they have shown. I think that was very successful. We'll continue our work with your team this year.
I guess the biggest appreciation I had was your motivation that you all collaborated as a team. I thought it was obvious but very enlightening.
I'm curious about how our district collects our data.
What went well is just learning about the consistency and how we have the whole team on board, and that's really helping and benefiting the students.
I would like to continue to say I appreciate you all. I know all the hard work because I've seen it firsthand, and I applaud you and keep continuing to make a positive impact and share it with others.
I would like to appreciate everybody who's here to
curious about next school year.
Something I'll do as a result of this meeting is, working on SEL check-ins for our online students. That's a big thing that, I mean, I run the online program, so being able to check in with them, I got some things rolling in my mind right now, but that's one thing I'm working on.
I just have an appreciation for you sharing, being vulnerable and honest, and the work that you are all doing with our students. Definitely the consistency over 9 years, you don't see a lot, and I love it.
I appreciate, being able to meet everyone and be able to share what you're doing and getting more digging into it with the questions that came up.
I appreciate my team and my boss who gives me enough rope to do this.
No, I don't know if it's a question or comment or whatnot, but I think is my learning is to continue to balance district oversight and buildings autonomy, and where is that sweet spot?
I'm looking forward to working with Adams and the other buildings to maximize the impact our programs can have on kids.
All right. Did you go there?
Yes, sir.
You want to start? All right.
I thought this was my prize.
If you want it, go ahead. It's a piece of a 20-year-old time. All right. We'll stick around for a little bit if anybody has questions. I gotta get them back together. Thank you guys for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, good job. Thanks for
I'm
being here.
in A140, so I need to run down there
Right
and
there.
get myself started.
Build this.
Remind me, so we have, this one doesn't count.
This one,
Hey, Ben.
this does not count.
Yeah.
But what about the proportionality data and the chocolate cover?
Hold on.
So we'll do, but after.
Yes, we've got, I know there's one on the books in October, that's in, the New Vancouver area.
He does.
There's supposed to be 2 more during the school year, I don't know when, but we were told one in September and then one in like February, and then starting next year is going to be
Son was a teacher at Franklin.
one that's coming in October at a conference, so I don't know. Something you might want to get some on a Saturday. So something like that.
Mr. Garza, he gets this.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like we're trying to make sure we're trying to make as many as possible not on work days, because all of us that do these trainings, we're all school employees, so we don't want to miss work any more than anybody else. That's the only one I know about that's scheduled. It's October 17th or October 18th. If you remind me, I'll give you the information for it. The other ones I know just are tentative dates because we don't have them.
were like
But there's going to be at least like 3 this year.
Alright. You didn't share, but we showed our consultants, Angela Brooks, when she first was brought in, they hated each other.
Oh, God, yeah, we can talk
very-
about that.
That was, we have, staff
I got
that
it
are
right
like,
here.
well, this stuff,
We
how
had
long is it gonna be here? Are we gonna have to start something new, and it's just, I mean.
She laughs about it now, it's all funny, but it's like.
Yeah, so there wasn't a lot, cause